What's going on, guys? Billy here, and if you own a Skydio 2 or if you plan on picking up the new Skydio 2 Plus, then your drone just got a whole lot better with a brand new software feature called Keyframe. Now, it's kind of like a waypoint software, but instead it's built for crafting cinematic shots. So like you keyframe inside of Premiere Pro or Final Cut Pro, you add keyframes within the drone to do specific moves and whatnot. Now, it might let a couple of people down because it's not built like a traditional waypoint software, and that's why in this video, I want to go over how to use it so that you know how to make use of Keyframe in the best way possible to get the best shots. So of course, Skydio is known for their impressively intelligent flight autonomy software, so knowing them, they couldn't just make another waypoint flight mode. They had to take it to another level. I found in my time flying with Keyframe that it is by far the most feature-rich and precise custom flight path system that I've used on a drone. Let me give you a quick example here. I've set up this flight path around this building with 4 different points. You just saw the end result of the drone flying the route, but this here is what the interface looks like through the Skydio app when you're using Keyframe. At the bottom of the screen, I can see all of the points that I have set, and they're spaced out by the amount of distance that is set in between them. There's also an augmented reality style view on the screen of the flight path that the drone will take. Now from this screen here, I'm able to drag along the flight path at the bottom, and the drone will fly along the path to wherever I want it to go, and it will just pause there. Now as I tap through the different waypoints, the drone zips between them without hesitation, using its sensors to detect obstacles, dodge them, and safely arrive at its destination. Even if I jump between waypoints that aren't positioned directly next to each other in the sequence, the drone will make its way there safely without any issues, basically in a straight path. Now, while I have you here on this screen, I quickly want to show you why I believe that this is by far the most accurate and precise waypoint system that I've used in a drone. If I begin at this waypoint right here, and then make my way back, say, to the previous waypoint, and then I fly back to that original waypoint that I was at, it's able to come to a stop in the exact same spot with the same exact frame. There's literally zero difference between both times when the drone arrived at this waypoint. You can tell by looking at the framing on either side. It's able to frame this shot up perfectly every time it flies to this keyframe. The reason that I am making such a big deal about the precision of Keyframe is because I've used a lot of other waypoint software in the past, specifically for like construction progression. So being able to set up waypoints to shoot photos from the same exact spot or shoot the same exact videos every single time as construction progresses over the course of a year or year and a half. So like think massive warehouses, for example, right? And I noticed there's always a margin of error. Like every single time the drone goes to a waypoint to shoot a photograph, it's off in some way. Either the drone is a little bit too high, it's a little bit too low, but the biggest thing that just drives me so crazy is the camera is never oriented correctly. Sometimes it's pitched too far down. Sometimes the whole entire aircraft is rotated too far to the left or right. Look, I'm getting flustered just thinking about it, but it really is a breath of fresh air using Keyframe because of how absolutely precise it is. Okay, so showing its precision is definitely important, but how do you use it? Like, how are you able to make this feature work for you when filming with your Skydio? Well, to get started, you'll want to open up the skills menu by tapping on the icon in the bottom right corner and selecting Keyframe under the cinematic section. From this point, it's pretty straightforward. You basically want to fly the path that you want the drone to take while adding keyframes at specific spots that'll make the drone fly in the direction that you want it to go. You'll notice that at the bottom of the screen, these keyframes begin to lay out with spacing in between them that directly correlates to the distance the drone needs to fly. This gives you an idea of how your points are set, but what gives you an even better idea is seeing the path through that augmented reality view as the drone flies through the scene. So that purple line is the path that the drone will fly, and those little diamond icons are the keyframes or the waypoints that you've set. Now remember, like I said, you can have the drone rip from point to point, which makes setting up your keyframe flight really easy. When at a specific point, you've got the option to add another keyframe in before or after, and you've also got the option to edit that specific keyframe if you want to tweak your flight. This entire process really couldn't be easier, especially knowing that as you fly and set up your keyframe mission, the drone is actively helping you avoid obstacles. Even as the drone flies from point to point, it's always making sure that it won't crash. You guys probably already knew that though, considering how great Skydio's autonomy is. Now there are a few final ways that you can change your keyframe experience, like adjusting the aircraft speed using the slider here just above that keyframe selector. Fun fact, you can change the speed as the drone flies, so while you're playing back that mission, you can adjust the speed accordingly based on what your shot calls for. So you can almost speed ramp your shot as you're shooting it, which is kind of cool. Now you can also select select the settings button on the right side here to adjust the speed and choose the camera style. So if you use the recorded option, then the Skydio is going to adjust the camera accordingly as you set the position of the drone. But if you select the free look camera style, then you've got full control to rotate the drone and move the camera as it flies along the path, which is nice because it gives you a little bit more control if you're, say, trying to follow a moving subject and they might not be moving at the same speed each and every single time that you run the path. Now, just like with any first generation version of anything, whether it's software, whether it's a drone, a camera, a smartwatch, a smartphone, whatever, right? No matter what it is, the first generation of anything is always going to have some room to grow because this is the first iteration of Keyframe. Now, I'm not trying to allude that there's like anything wrong with the software itself right now. I mean, it works perfect every time. The drone doesn't crash. It always flies along the path. It's always super precise. I've definitely kind of gotten that point across throughout this entire video. In fact, I just want to bring this up. During that flight path where I was kind of going through the abandoned building, when I would move from waypoint number 5 back to waypoint number 1, the drone would just do this crazy high level of autonomy and fly around objects trying to get back to that first waypoint. So no matter which way you have the drone fly between waypoints, it will not crash because it's always analyzing the world and objects around it. And I just had to share that specific clip because I thought that it was really impressive. But in terms of like the Keyframe software, the Keyframe feature itself, it works great right now, but I just think that there's room to grow. I think that there's features that can be added, right? Like giving us more flexibility to program certain things to happen at different keyframes, right? Maybe turn it into a more general waypoint software, or maybe just make a brand new waypoint software that builds off of Keyframe, and maybe also give us the ability to save different keyframes, like, you know, multiple keyframes, like multiple different missions. So right now you can reload your previous keyframe mission, but you can't save like 10 different keyframe missions and then, you know, reenact them in different spots, which is kind of a bummer. But again, there is a lot of great growing to do here with Keyframe, and kind of as like a basis point where it is right now, it really is functioning well. So that's pretty much everything you need to know about Keyframe. It is really super simple, but in order to make use of it in the best way possible, I think you need to look at it as a cinematic waypoint tool rather than just like a general waypoint tool to use to like capture a bunch of photographs. Anyway, let me know what your thoughts are on Keyframe, the Skydio 2 and Skydio 2 Plus, and as always, I'll talk to you later. Peace.